So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about what changes I think should be made to Predator Hunting Grounds in order to make it better. But before we begin, I want to let y'all know that I'm doing a contest. Yes, that's right, I'm giving away copies of Predator Hunting Grounds. The link to that contest is down in the description below. Now, with all that said, I do want to make you all aware that no, this is not the final polished product that you're going to be receiving when the game comes out in 1 month. And no, this wasn't a beta either. This was more of a finished product that needed to be polished up before it's released. And of course, because this is 2020 and not the 1990s, updates can continue to come out for even years to come that will change a whole bunch of things in the video game.
I know Kung Fu.
Let's get started with what I think needs to be changed in this game. So I've been reading a lot and I've been seeing people talking about the Predator is OP. He's not OP. He needs to be weaker. He needs to be stronger. First of all, the Predator doesn't need to be changed at all. He's perfect the way it is. And the reason why you see him too powerful sometimes or not powerful enough other times is because some people's skill set are not on the level of others. Yes, I know I'm going to get this out of the way right now. Everybody is not going to be great at everything, okay? Sometimes the Predator is going to be incredible. Sometimes the Predator is going to suck. This also doesn't have to do with how much you play it. You could play the game 12 hours a day for a year and still not be great, all right? Everybody's skill level and everything is going to be different, whether it be sports, games, doesn't matter what it is, it's just a fact of life. I actually had a bit of a learning curve. It took me a couple days to become really good as the Predator. By the end of the free play weekend, I was wiping out the entire team in less than 2 minutes to the point that they started hiding in an airplane because they wouldn't even come out to complete the objectives because they were afraid they were going to get their ass handed to them. And then of course we had Predators that were still just awful. It didn't matter that they played 12 hours a day the entire weekend and they were level 25, they were completely maxed out. We could sit there as soldiers and separate and complete all the objectives and still escape and never die. It's just a skill levels. Again, it's not gonna matter what you change or what you tweak, you will never make a perfect balance in any video game. Some people will just have more of a skill level than you. That's just how it is. So no, the Predator is not OP, he's not underpowered, he's perfect the way he is. People just need to develop a strategy and get better at using him. Now, as far as the soldiers are concerned, yes, that is one area that definitely needs to be tweaked more than anything. As far as grenade launchers are concerned, they were very realistic. In case you don't know this, as a lot of people don't from the comments I was reading, hand grenades don't explode on impact, but grenades that are designed for a grenade launcher in the real world explode on impact. When you fire them off, as soon as they hit something, they explode. It's very realistic. And yes, some people developed a strategy over the weekend to overuse the grenade launcher and completely kick the crap out of the Predator. But again, that was a skill level because when we had a Predator that was really badass, that didn't really hurt him too much. Even when he came to the ground, you could light him up like crazy. 4 people could be firing grenade launchers, and he still developed a strategy to get away, come back, and hit you and wipe you out. Again, that is a skill level set. The grenade launcher is not OP. You are just not good against it or using it. All right, let's put that into perspective for a minute. As far as some of the other weapons are concerned, the machine gun that you would hold in and it would spool up, that's realistic, that actually happens. It takes a while to spool up before it rapid fires, and it should, because otherwise 4 people would just have them and hold them down if they made it unrealistic, and it would just spray and wipe the Predator out in a matter of seconds. So keeping that realistic is a good thing. Let's leave that alone. Those 2 weapons are fine. The Predator is fine. Again, the soldiers are the biggest issue. And when I say that, it's nothing to do with the weapons. It has to do with the way it's set up. What they went with was more of a Call of Duty style. It was fast-paced, which makes it less strategic. It's just like Halo, or again, Call of Duty. You jump, spray and pray, you die, you move on, nobody cares. And that type of gameplay gets played out way too fast. It will destroy, mark my words, it will destroy the longevity of this game as a soldier, not as a Predator, because a Predator, it's still fun. You still have a lot of things, a lot of variety, very realistic to the movie. They completely nailed the Predator, but they completely messed up the soldiers. All right, it needs to be slowed down. When I say that, I'm not really talking about walking. I'm not talking about running. That's not what I'm talking about. Slowed down. I'm talking about the pace, the action needs to be slowed down, because what's going on is people are just spreading out. There's no strategy. When it's that fast paced like Call of Duty, there's not really much strategy to put into place. And what happens is you get a whole bunch of these speedrunners trying to haul ass, leaving all their teammates to die behind, because that's the atmosphere they created with the gameplay of the soldiers. Just a fast-paced thing, and it doesn't work in this instance. That's what's messing this game up. And that'll also change everything going up against the Predator. It's going to make the Predator's job much more harder if the soldiers have to work together, make it more strategic. If the firing, if the gameplay is that much stronger, it makes it that much harder to take out the soldiers. I think that's the biggest fix overall right there. And yes, I know a lot of people complain about the graphics. We got to remember, this isn't a multi-billion-dollar company trying to create the most glamorous graphics, and I don't think they should either. So when I say the graphics shouldn't be overly done, it's because you got to remember that this game is technically set in the 80s, and back in the 80s, 90s, VHS, DVD, all these things, records, they had their own look and feel, and it just gave it this specific little look to the movie. So as far as Predator is concerned, the way everything was shot back then, it gives it a real different look and feel than what you see today. Today you see this overly enhanced, digital, perfectly clear footage, and when they go back and remaster something like Christine, which is the most flawless 4K HDR I've ever seen as far as remastering is concerned, people are complaining about the grain. Well, the grain is supposed to be there because it was filmed on reel-to-reel. It's filmed on film. That grain is part of the movie, and it makes that movie what it is. It gives it that particular feel. And I think what they did was they created a world, even though I don't think this was their intention, they created a game, a world that gave it this look, that gave it this feel as if it was from the 80s, if it was 1987, as if you were watching an old movie or playing an old game. It had this old look. It wasn't this over digitally polished game. And I think if they made it too great, too nice, too polished, too overly digital, it would take away from that look of being in 1987 or looking at something in 1987 or playing a game that's supposed to take place in 1987. So get off of this overly graphic thing. People today have become too wound up with movies and games. When they go to a movie, they don't want to be entertained. They take the biggest blockbusters. Those were the movies that were big. Jurassic Park, Independence Day. It's because they were big, overly done blockbusters, not because of their plot, not because of the character development, not because of the substance. And that's what people are like everything should be on the level of Godfather 2. No, it should be on the level of being entertained. You should be entertained to the point that it takes you out of the real world. That's a movie's job. That's a video game's job. That's what entertainment is, to take you out of the world, to get you away from the politics that people don't shut up about every 10 seconds, to take you away from COVID-19 right now where people are over, blowing this crap up and talking about it non-stop. And that's what this game did. The whole weekend, I didn't think about COVID-19 minus the 2-minute conversation we had regarding that. And I didn't think about politics at all. It was entertaining. It was fun. It did its job.
From the prime time, bitch!
This is an asymmetrical survival multiplayer game, the same as Friday the 13th, are on the same par level as graphics are concerned. Should be because it's the same company that developed it. IllFonic. PC was by far a huge improvement over the PS4, and I'm hoping the PS4 final game is at least 60% of what it was on the RTX 2080 in terms of the gameplay and smoothness. I really hope that's there. So I will be doing that video, so don't be worrying about that right now. But yes, we had different maps, so map variety is there, the longevity is there, the objectives in those different maps were completely different, so that's all there. I mean, again, it really just comes down to one major change. This is what they need to start on, what they need to focus on, is the gameplay for the soldiers. As soon as they change that and make it completely different, it's going to change the entire game. It's going to change the balance. It's going to change everything. But again, you should not be on the same wavelength as the Predator in this game, or as Jason for that matter, or anybody. They should be up here. They are more powerful. They are stronger. You should have to work as a team. Teamwork, strategy, skill level in a group to raise that bar up and take him. That's what that little factor is. At no point should this guy be a professional video game player, be here, and all the amateurs who sucker level 1 be here or here. No, that is not realistic. That is not any type of realistic point of view. I don't know why there's that mentality, but don't implement it into this game. No, it's supposed to be like that. They're supposed to be overpowered. Again, it's supposed to be strategy, skill set, teamwork that puts you here and here. Not downplaying things to put your level here of a level 1 with no skill on the same par as a level 50 who has a tremendous amount of skill and could take out other level 50s or higher. That's not how it works. Stay within your skill set of 1 to 5 levels until you rank up. Again, that should be the algorithm. They do need to make sure that is the algorithm in the public play, to stay within 5 levels. And of course, if there's nobody there, they shouldn't make you wait 10 minutes. They should then look at levels 6, 7, 8 until they find you. And of course, at that point, if you end up with 15s, then that's because of that. But they should do that in the algorithm. They should explain that to you all in the algorithm so you all know that you're not just being thrown in with a bunch of better players and getting your ass kicked thinking things are overpowered, because that's why the mindset comes in. You're playing with people who are better than you. I'm sorry, that's the truth. And that's why it seems like things are overpowered or underpowered. That is the real reason. Don't go making big changes all at once or you'll screw up this game. I promise you it will screw it up. Fix the gameplay. Stop making it Call of Duty. Make it more Ghost Recon from 2001, 2002, and that will drastically change the game. That will drastically change everything. It will require strategy. It will require teamwork, and it will allow everybody to be able to take out the Predator or the Predator to be able to take them out based on who is better. Plain and simple. So again, keep in mind, you don't have to drastically alter a game for every little aspect just because somebody has more skill than you. It will always happen. Doesn't matter what you do. You could be a professional athlete. Somebody in that league will be better than you. Somebody in this game will be better than you. It doesn't automatically mean you need to drastically change the game, making weapons weaker, making the Predator stronger or weaker simply because your skill level isn't on the same par as somebody else. All you're going to do with that is make these changes, and then somebody with more skill than you is going to utilize and capitalize on those changes and become even better, and you're going to become worse. That could happen. I've seen that happen in some of these asymmetrical survival multiplayer games. Those changes have actually happened. So stop trying to make drastic changes based on somebody being better than you because they have something. That is not a realistic way of changing a game. Again, change the gameplay for the soldiers, then look at things. But that's the basic foundation you need to go with. So before they go and tweak anything because everybody's complaining, they need to change the gameplay of the soldiers. They need to take it from a Call of Duty aspect style gameplay and put it in a 2001, 2002 style gameplay of Ghost Recon. And from that point, they have a solid, strong foundation to work with. From that point, they can make tweaks. But until you have that solid, strong foundation, the house will collapse. There's nothing to tweak until the foundation is solid. And that's what they need to work on first. And from there, make their little points. They need to make little changes from that point. But again, make that change first. Please, for the love of God. Otherwise, nothing about this game will last. It will be too repetitive, it will be speed runs, and it will get boring really quickly, and the game will be a 4 or 5 month, maybe 6 month style game. You need to make those changes, and you need to implement what I told you all to watch. They need to implement the city style map because that will create variety. I tried to get them to do that in Friday the 13th. Of course, the lawsuit came into play and they didn't have time to mess around with that stuff anymore. But that's one thing that needs to be done in any asymmetrical survival multiplayer game is a city map. Please do that, and it will create so much variety. It will also add to the longevity play of the game. And keep in mind, again, no matter what you do, whether it be sports, movies, marriage, anything and everything you do in life, you will not instantly be great at. And everything will not be great 100% of the time. Okay? You will have moments, and those moments are what makes things great. It's what makes movies great. It's what makes games, sports, marriage, life, everything great. And you have to put the work in to get to those moments. Because when you hit those 1 to 2 moments like we did on the weekend, where I was sitting there a quarter of a way in the map and I shot a grenade, it went over like 6 trees through 3 bushes, the Predator started climbing up and it just nailed him in the head and it took him out. That was one of those great moments, and that's what you need to look for in things like movies, video games, things like that. Because those great moments are what makes everything worth it, right? So if you're busting ass to become good at something, I don't care what it is, sports, school, a job, a video game, it doesn't matter. It's about getting those moments. And when you hit those moments, it makes all the hard work worth it. So keep that in mind. Bust your ass. Become better at the game. Worry about your skill level before you worry about tweaking things simply because somebody's better than you. And with all that said, what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. What do you think they need to change the most and why? And don't forget, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because if you don't, you'll know if I have kick-ass shit such as this. And be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, because more of your likes on this video will get you another Predator Hunting Ground video on this channel. And don't forget to join us in Discord, because that's where I'm having a kick-ass time in there. And as always, I'll see you next time.